Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic Volume 19, Episode 5, and happy July. Let's celebrate with a variant of one of my favorite puzzle types, Heyablock. This one is called a Heyablock. Let's figure out what's different by taking a look at the rules. In Heyablock, we will shade a single group of orthogonally connected cells in each region, so that the remaining unshaded cells form one orthogonally connected area. This is a bit confusingly worded, but orthogonally connected means sharing an edge. And in each of these regions with the bold borders, we're going to shade some cells that are touching. So in this example here, this 2x2, we have a block of two cells that are both shaded, that are touching each other. We can't have two disjoint areas of shaded cells in one of these regions. And all of the unshaded cells need to be contiguous, so you can get to any of them from any of the others by traveling horizontally and vertically. Shaded groups may not share a bold border. So once we have a shaded cell that is touching a border, like here, for example, the cell on the other side of that border is necessarily unshaded. Regions with numbers must contain the indicated amount of shaded cells. So this has to be a size 2 region of shaded cells in there. And Unclued regions must contain at least one shaded cell. That is actually a side effect of the first phrase here, shade a single group of orthogonally connected cells. However, there's an exception. If a region has a 0, that region must contain no shaded cells, despite the normal restriction that groups must have a shaded cell. So that is an exception. And finally, a line of consecutive unshaded cells may not cross more than one bold border. This is straight from Heyablock. So for example here, we have a run of unshaded cells that does cross a border, but it does not cross a second border. Those are the rules of Heyablock, so it's time to solve a puzzle. This Heyablock puzzle was set by Jovial. We've got some zeros in the grid, so we can start by unshading those in their entirety. And before I even go with the block portions of what's going on, the Heyablock rule tells me that this must be shaded and that must be shaded, or else this would extend into more than one border, across more than one border. This is the only shaded cell we're allowed in this area, so let's unshade those cells, and that allows us to do the border rule again, right there and right there. Now in a Heyablock, I would immediately unshade the neighboring cells, but that's not how we're doing things here. This is going to be part of a 4-cell shaded area here. I've got some 2s in 3-cell regions. Those are definitely going to include the middle cell of the 3, no matter how we put that domino. And we can unshade the cell across the border from that in both cases. And actually we can do that right here as well. That's a case where we have a cell across a border from a shaded cell. We know those are unshaded. What do we do next? All right, so we need to shade something in this region because it doesn't have a number in it, and therefore it's this one. And we unshade things that are across a border from a shaded cell. That means this 2 is these 2. The unshaded areas have to all connect, so I can unshade that, I can unshade that. Now we use our border rule to shade that cell and to shade that cell. Now this is a domino, and it includes that cell, so none of these get shaded. And this is shaded for a couple reasons. One is that it's the only cell left in this region. The other is to avoid crossing 2 borders this way. So that's shaded, which means this one's not. The unshaded cells have to be connected again, so that means this is unshaded, that means this is unshaded, and that's going to complete both this region and that region, because we can only fit 4 cells this way. We can only fit 2 cells that way. And we get a couple unshaded cells across the border from those. Then we'll keep on unshading to connect right here. All right, and that has kind of dried up. Let's see what we do next. We need a shaded cell here on exactly one of these two, because we can't shade both. They're not connected. And if it's this one, the puzzle breaks. Because if I shade this cell, I have to unshade that cell and it's stranded. So this cell is shaded, this one's unshaded. That unshades all of these. That tells me how this 2 works. This has to be unshaded for connectivity reasons. We need a shaded cell in this region, so it goes right there. Unshade neighbors across the line. And our double border rule means this one is shaded. Which means this one's not, because we can't get there in 3 cells from here. That's not shaded. Here we have to shade because of the double border. Here we have to unshade in order for this to connect. And then the double border rule tells us that this one is shaded, and that's in a 1 region, so none of these are shaded. This is across 2 borders, so this one's shaded. And because of the 2, there's a domino. So this one and this one are too far from the shaded cell to be included. We've got a double border here, but what's more, this is a 3 in 4 cells, so the middle 2 are going to be shaded no matter what, which means these 2 can't be. And exactly one of the 2 of these is. We've got a double border. We've got a lot of unshaded cells here crossing many borders, so this can't be unshaded, or we've broken that rule a couple times. So that's shaded, and that's the only one allowed in this region. This neighbor is unshaded. Therefore, to finish the 3, this is shaded, and this one can't be because it's across the border. And to finish the 2, both of these must be, and these can't because they're across a border. A lot happened right there. We've got a Heyablock thing happen right here. We've crossed 2 borders right here, so we have to shade that. And in order for these to escape, they've got to get through here. This is one's unshaded, and now the shaded contiguous area in this region can't extend to these, so none of those are shaded. I think I'm realizing that unshaded regions in this type of puzzle, unclued regions in this type of puzzle, must always have exactly 1 shaded cell because of uniqueness. If they could have more than 1 shaded cell, you could unshade any of those cells and still have a valid answer to the puzzle. No, wait, is that true? Ooh, that might be false because of the Heyablock rule. I have to think about that some more. Yeah, the Heyablock rule means that is false on its face, but there could still be a reason why it's true from connectivity for the contiguous shaded area. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit. But that aside, in this region, we've got to stop a double border up here, so this one gets shaded. Therefore, these 2 don't. Heyablock over here means that one's shaded. And we have to shade at least one of these to prevent a double border here, but we're going to anyway because that's a 3. We have... Yeah, this actually might test my theory anyway, this region. Well, we need to shade another one to prevent... No, we won't. Okay, this one gets unshaded in order for these to escape. And that finishes off this one. We need these 2 to be shaded. Therefore, these 2 aren't. And for this area to connect to the rest of the puzzle, it's got to come right through here, which forces these 2 to be shaded. This is unshaded because it's across a border, And then to connect these down to these, we have to have unshaded cells that connect them all. And that's how you solve a Heyablock.